Hi, my name's Sherri and I'm the lead coach for HOSPO Health. Today I'll be giving you some information on forming habits and some tips about how you can start creating good habits and making changes straight away. To kick things off, I'm going to talk about a basic outline of the science of how habits come about and how they actually become habits. So our capacity to learn and form habits is supported by changes in our brain, which is known as neuroplasticity. When we do something repeatedly, which is called stretching repetition, our brains recognise this and adapt to make things, behaviours or skills feel automatic. And this stretching repetition is the best measure for the point at which habits stick or become a habit. And the stretching repetition is more important than the actual time. So how do we make this stretching repetition happen? We need to use environmental triggers. We need to consistently show up or do the thing we want to become a habit. And it helps if we link our habit with a reward through positive reinforcement and association. And importantly, we should avoid beating ourselves up if we miss a repetition. It's a bit like exercising our muscles at the gym. Repeatedly working this region of our brain will actually lead to change. So I'm going to come back and explore this point a bit more later and look at some of the real life examples and suggestions. But suffice to say, the neurological jargon is really just explaining the science behind what we already know, which is that persistent, expanding repetition enables learning. I think most people have experienced that feeling of trying to create a new habit, maybe healthy eating, exercising, or giving something up. And you feel like your brain and your body is working against you, right? So hopefully what I've just covered will give you a bit of an understanding about the neuroscience involved with creating habits and will help you realise that our brains are actually on our side and working for us, even if it doesn't always feel that way. So the core learning here is that repetition eventually makes habits and skills feel automatic. So just like brushing our teeth before bed, it's something we do automatically and have been doing for most of our lives. You might have heard or read that it takes 21 days to form a habit. This is a complete myth and really misguided. Science tells us that it can actually take anywhere from 18 to 254 days to form a habit. Plus, each habit and the timing it takes to make it one can be different for each individual. So what takes me 3 months to become a healthy habit might only take you 6 weeks. So rather than looking at the time frame or the number of days, the better question should be how many repetitions are required to make a behaviour automatic. Because we know it's the repetition and not the time that will make the habit stick. Plus, if we are focusing on time, the number of days, we risk undermining the quality of the behaviour that we're repeating. And this can mean we also miss out on that neurological support. So I've touched on the science behind creating habits and busted the old 21-day myth. And you now know that habits are created in your brain, but unfortunately they don't happen by magic. We need to do a bit of work. So in order to create a new habit, we need to start making the changes or doing the thing consistently. And sometimes that means we need to make new choices. I'm going to come back to that stretching repetition concept again now. Just to refresh your mind, stretching repetition is the term used for when we do something repeatedly, which our brain starts to recognise. So how can you get in that zone and make stretching repetition happen? Well, 1, set your environment up and create a trigger. For example, laying my gym clothes out before bed, and then setting my alarm, waking and not overdoing the snooze button, is a trigger for going to the gym. Once I've done that, I know I've taken that first step. And so it's much easier to follow through and go to the gym because I've taken that symbolic first step. 2, make sure that you show up consistently or do the thing. Don't underestimate the power of just showing up and starting. You don't always need to feel like you're doing something to actually get in and do it. For example, you want to write a novel. There will be days where you just don't know what to say. But if you grab a coffee, sit at your computer and start typing, then you're actually doing it. And by showing up, you're beating the biggest obstacle to forming a positive habit, starting. Number 3, package or link the habit with a reward. So studies show that we are more likely to stick with a habit if we package it with a short-term reward. Rewards too distant can lead to that effect known as temporal discounting, where we don't appreciate the value of the reward because it's too far away. And one really easy and effective way to link a habit with a reward is packaging an enjoyable habit with the new habit you're creating. For example, 5 mornings a week I go to the gym with a group of friends, and then we head out for coffee together before work. Chatting and having a really good latte is my reward. Number 4, don't beat yourself up. If you miss a repetition, just get back on the horse for the next lap. Research shows that people who don't forgive themselves and dwell on the failure are much more likely to miss another repetition too. So if you have a day where you don't show up, forgive yourself because you're human, and then change your energy into showing up again and again and again. Now I'm going to quickly recap on the key points, but if there's anything you've missed or weren't clear on, please watch or listen to this session again. It'll be staying on the HOSPO Health website for quite a while, and it's a resource that we really want people to feel that they can come back to whenever they need a refresh. Now, we talked about the science behind creating habits and how stretching repetition or doing something repeatedly is the key driver. When we're engaging in stretching repetition, our brains recognise this and adapt, so that behaviour or skills feel automatic. We called out the myth of 21 days to form a habit because there isn't a set time, and we talked about practical ways to get into the zone and make stretching repetition happen. Whether it's putting your active wear out at night, or packaging your new habit with a nice reward, or forgiving yourself if you miss a repetition. So to wrap up, who's up for the challenge? What healthy new habit are you going to create? And my little tip is go for the low-hanging fruit. Slow and steady really does win the race. Good luck, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.